In nature, crayfish are known as keystone species, meaning that they are essential or play a key role in the aquatic ecosystem. The United Kingdom is home to only one native crayfish species, this known as the whiteclaw. This native species has been in decline since the 70s due to the introduction of another crayfish species, the North American signal. Signal crayfish were brought over to the United Kingdom in the 1970s by farmers, as freshwater crayfish tails were big in popularity, but the native whiteclaw crayfish was considered too small to be worth consumption, whereas the North American signal crayfish is much larger and meatier. Farmers, however, did not take into account how easy it is for young crayfish to escape, and as signal crayfish have a very high tolerance to water temperature and quality, we are now faced with an issue that is incredibly similar to that of the grey squirrels. The aggressive nature of the oversized signal crayfish, combined with its prolific breeding habits, has allowed them to outcompete the native species for both food and territory. The signal crayfish diet consists of about 80% vegetation, so in an act of ecological deforestation, the signals strip waterways bare of all plant life, which are essential to the survival of other freshwater organisms, such as smaller crustaceans like shrimp, as well as mollusks, fish, and even the larvae of amphibians. So without all this vegetation, all these other creatures have nowhere to lay their eggs, and those eggs that do get laid on remaining plants are also easy pickings for signal crayfish. Naturally, this is devastating to the food chain. The signal crayfish carries with it a disease, appropriately named crayfish plague. This disease is actually a water mold, and native species of crayfish like the whiteclaw and various other species across Europe have no resilience to this illness, and so have a 100% mortality rate when infected by the plague spores. Even other invasive crayfish species have no resilience to this disease, and so the signals are completely dominant, now infesting 70% of the UK waters and decimating native species across Europe. Though signal crayfish are carriers of this disease, they are not always symptomless, with some specimens showing burn spots, holes, disrupted development in their shell, and even disrupted development of their limbs or limb loss. This disease is also thought to be the reason as to why signal crayfish are seen during the daytime. Crayfish are usually only seen at night. Once late autumn arrives and signal crayfish are finished overbreeding and decimating native wildlife populations across the country, they begin to burrow 2 meters down into the riverbanks, inside which they will enter a state of torpor or hibernation. In these burrows is where females will hold on to their potential 400 eggs until they're ready to hatch in spring. As signal crayfish are so territorial, there is only one burrow per cray. This can lead to many large holes being dug into the riverbank, and can ultimately cause it to collapse into the water, creating yet another problem. Overall, the signal crayfish is a prime example of why non-native species should never be released into the wild. Its impact has even affected the aquatic pet trade, where now only one crayfish species is legal to own, this being the Australian yabby, or blue lobster as it's more commonly known. At this point, it would seem as though the environmental damage done by the signal crayfish is irreparable, but it may at the very least provide insight to others as to why invasive species need to be kept out of native lands, and perhaps even prevent greater invasions in the future.